I'm sports editor Nicholas Huba. With me again is Mike McGarry, as per our usual kind of Thursday previews during the season. Special guest today, Derryk, the president of the West Jersey Football League. And we're going to talk a little bit about like what the season is going to look like and how hard it's been trying to get everything kind of lined up. Derryk, thanks for joining us, first of all.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
You know, one of the things everyone's talking about, how hard has it been so far to try to get back to normalcy with everything going on? Just from a football point of view, we'll put all the other stuff in the corner for a little bit, but let's talk from
just
football
from football.
How hard is it?
It's been very difficult because it's a fluid situation and things are changing so fast, and it's just hard to kind of keep up with the changes. So I have been using the term all summer, all since we got out of school. Is like I watched that Bruce Lee documentary, and it's like be water. Like you got to be flexible and be willing to go and do different things. And one time we made one thing, made a change, and then a week later that got changed. So you just got to be ready for almost anything. So I'm no longer surprised or no longer gut punched by things that are happening. It's just, okay, so now we have to adjust to the new thing that's going on. So
where are we right now in the planning process for the 2000 high school football season from the West Jersey Football League perspective?
Right now, exactly. What we had to do was, the first thing we had to do was we had to survey all of the schools, because what we needed to do was, instead of just going and make a schedule, we had to find out if it was schools that were going to play or not going to play. So we had to go survey all the schools, all 94 schools, to find out if we were playing football or not. And then we had to get I've talked to more superintendents, principals. I can't believe I'm trying to figure out how all these people got my phone number, but I've talked to so many different people with regards to trying to schedule games. They want to be close. Some people are like, we don't care. We just want to go be in competitive games. So it's so many factors involved. You know, like I wrote a list on Twitter the other day, like you got COVID, you got travel, you got competitiveness, you have size of schools, because we can't have, I know they're close, but like Bridgeton and Cumberland and Millville and Vineland, if you put the four of them together, it's close, but I don't think the games would be competitive. So, you know, like it's so many nuances to just trying to put this thing together.
Mike, you got something?
Derryk, just to expand on that, you know, what is the challenge to geography versus competitive games? And are you going geography more or competitive games more? Are you split down the middle when you consider those two factors? I mean, how hard is it to just weigh those two factors, basically?
Okay, so like I have schools that have said, we don't care, we'll drive an hour as long as the game is competitive. And then you got some schools are like, we only want to play within 15 minutes of my school. But if they do that, then those games, I don't know. Just for the sake of having football, I don't think it's fair to just put a team of kids out there and they're going to get killed. Like it doesn't make sense to go out and lose 60-0 every game, because that's not how you build a program. So we have programs in our league that we've used, the model that we use, and it's worked for them. Like Haddon Township, we had Robbinsville. They were on the brink of like not having a team, because, you know, when kids go out every week and you know you're going to lose 60-0, how many kids are going to be enthusiastic about going out there? They're not. So we got to we're trying to satisfy 94 people, but everyone's not going to be happy. I got that. I've already said that. I've said it from the beginning, but you just have to understand like what it all takes to try to do this. We've had coaches like go, oh, it took me 20 minutes and I put it together. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know this factor that this school and this school can't play. They just cannot play because there was an issue before. And then you got, when you schedule a game and then the town is upset about they don't want to play that team. So it's so many things going on behind the scenes that people don't know about. And all for a job that I don't make 1 cent for.
Derryk, what is there a timetable where you think there'll be if there ever can be such a thing, like the schedule will be finalized under the current format, giving that, format could be changed?
We're shooting for the next 2 weeks. That's what we're shooting for.
Okay.
Is the next 2 weeks. Because we're in preliminary. What happened was we had a meeting and somehow the schedule got leaked. The one that we had, a mock-up of a schedule, and everybody thought that was the schedule, which it wasn't. And so now I had all of this. We don't know what we're doing and all. I'm like, listen, man, I don't know what happened. Somebody sent the schedule out. I don't know. So that's not the schedule. I'm telling you that for a fact. It's not. Because as soon as we finished that meeting with that schedule, I had several schools reach out to me about, hey, my superintendent is really on us about travel. They don't want to go too far. And you got to worry about the travel. We got to worry about officials. Are we going to have enough officials? Are we going to be able to play some games on Thursday night to accommodate the officials? So we got to – it's a lot of things involved in this. Like, it's not just – I really wish it was – if it was that easy to just sit down and just draw a line, there's 6 schools and then 6 and then 6. Because look at it. We looked at the OSI rankings. We looked at all the power rankings. And the number 1 team in South Jersey, believe it or not, is Pennsgrove.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So do you put Pennsgrove in a league with the 5 other best teams in South Jersey? Like, those kids, they wouldn't make it. I know they got a good team, but Pennsgrove playing Cherokee and then St. Joe's, and they wouldn't make it. I mean, it's just physically, it wouldn't, like, those kids wouldn't survive that.
Right.
Those great Paulsboro teams would play against anybody. I just don't think they could have done it for like 6 straight weeks. That's all.
Are you talking about the Kevin Harvey teams from generations
Kevin Harvey's
ago?
team? I know, like, you see, and you look at Kevin Harvey and how good he was, and I think that those teams, they would have been fine. If you put them in that Olympic conference, I think, they would have been able to hang with anybody at any time. But I'm saying to you, week in and week out, man, that take a pounding. But it's just the difference with when you put your backup lineman in from Paulsboro, it's a kid that's, 160 pounds. The Shawnee backup kid is like 275, you know what I mean? So it's a difference.
Mike?
Derryk, what's your level of confidence? We've talked before that we are going to play football in the fall, or are you just kind of taking it sort of day by day now? You see other states like California pushed it back yesterday to the spring. I mean, what's your take on that whole thing?
And then yesterday, Georgia, all my friends in Georgia emailed me, look, how come you guys aren't playing? Georgia is playing the full schedule, all 10 games, playoffs, everything. And I'm like, Georgia is one of the hottest states in the country right now. And I don't know. I'm confident that we're going to play. I want to play. I really do. I mean, and to be honest, it'll be fun this year because my son is not playing this year. So I get to go. I'm going to go travel around and go see some games this year, which would be cool.
We're just talking about the scheduling aspect of it. How hard is it when we get into the season to kind of keep everything on the track? And what is the plan kind of for, like, if a kid tests positive for the virus on one team, what do you guys, like, how does that, like, shake everything up? We have to shut the league down? Like, these are –
probably have to – so what happens is if you have team A and B, they're playing, team A gets a positive test. Boom. We're going to have to shut both those teams down. So those 2 teams will probably be shut down for 2 weeks, and then the week after, they'll have to come back. So I don't that's what I mean. You're going to have some teams are going to play 6 games. Some teams might only get 4 games in. Some teams might get to the first game, and then they get shut down by their superintendent. Like, we don't know. I can't really say to you what's going to happen. All I can say is we're going to have a schedule. We're going to put it out there. And we're going to try to go and see as many sites as possible, how people are doing things. I don't know if we're going to have fans. I don't know. That's going to be more from the NJSIAA. They'll let us know if we can even have fans. I don't even know if they're going to do that.
Are they going to –
Go ahead.
Are they going to leave that up to you guys, or are they going to be pretty, like, over the top and say, like, statewide, no fans, leave it to each league and things like that?
Well, right now, I don't see, I think a lot of the things that drive us, we have to look at, what's going on above us. So the Giants, the Jets, Rutgers, no fans. So if they're not having fans, I don't see how we can have fans. But if they say we can have fans, but I just don't want to be at a Lindenwold High School football game, standing at the gate saying, "Miss, you can't come in." Well, I'm a parent. How do I know? How are you going to know who's a parent, who's not a parent, who's from what team, who's not? Oh, we only can have 40 people for the visiting team, and you're going to stand at the gate and count people. And I think it gets into like a logistical nightmare when you do that. So we either have fans or don't. But I mean, if we don't have them, it makes it easy. Then you can just keep everybody away.
Derryk, it's such a task to put together the schedule and stuff like that. Is it worth it in your mind? Is it important to have football this fall, or it's such a monumental task? Everybody could say, well, let's forget about it and come back when there's a vaccine or when the virus is less. I mean, why persevere through this and try to put together a schedule for this fall?
I think it's important there's a kid somewhere in South Jersey, in the West Jersey Football League, that needs to be seen on film by a college. And it might be the difference in this kid's life. So if I'm involved in that, to be able to help this kid go to college, like, to me, it's about the kids. It's not about like the coaches. I try not to focus on the coaches. It's about the kids. If it's a kid that is borderline, he might be a Division I kid or Division II, or he might even go to college to play football. So I'm looking at every aspect: NAIA, JUCO, Division III, Division II, whatever it is. If there's a kid out there and they need to be on film to help to improve their chances of going to college and play football, and I'm involved with that, that's all I want. I just want to try to help out if I can. Now, if they tell us we can't play, then we just can't play.
How hard is it going to be to move, if we have to get to the point where we move it to the spring? How monumental of a task is that? Or we just cut bait then?
No, that's easy. It's just
it's easy?
It's easy, because once you do the schedule now, you can just move it to the spring. It's easy. It's no problem.
Is there concern about those smaller schools, say a Pennsgrove, say a Paulsboro, those kind of schools that don't have the massive numbers of like a Mainland or a Violent or those schools, that they would even be able to field teams considering the other sports involved?
Right, but that's what I mean. What would happen is if we do it in the spring, we would do some type of a hybrid model where you play all 3 seasons. So we would play all 3 seasons separately in the spring. There's a couple of models that are out where they would play every season, but the seasons would be shortened, but you would play all 3 seasons.
So you're saying like a real short football season, real short baseball?
6 weeks of football, and then you go and play the baseball and whatever else. And then you do basketball, 6 weeks worth of basketball or whatever you're going to do in the winter. But like I said, I'm really just trying to be optimistic and positive, but you just look at it, and I'm really concerned about the winter. Like, it's just concerning, because I know my principal, they were talking about there's supposed to be a wrestling tournament this summer in Pennsylvania. Next week, in 2 weeks. And next week, a wrestling tournament in Pennsylvania. And I don't see how they're going to have it. And I don't know, like, and if those events are getting canceled in the summertime, like we usually have the wrestling duels at our school. We had to cancel it, obviously, this summer. So if those events are getting canceled, then the winter, I'm a little nervous about. I mean, I really am a little nervous about the winter. I just hope we can go and play football till Thanksgiving and be done. Because I know my son's school is going back. They're going back in the beginning, August 3rd, and they'll be done the semester by Thanksgiving. So if we can go and get football in that same amount of time, then I think it would be all right. And I think everybody would rather play 6 games than no games.
Derryk, last question from me. You talk about the 6-game regular season. There's also been, the NJSA has put the 2 weekends in for the playoffs. Do you have any insight on what that sort of playoff format will look like? We've heard pods of 4 competitive games. Any insight into what those 2 weekends will kind of look like at this point?
I don't. At this point, I'm so frazzled about trying to I'm just trying to get our regular season together, and I think we would get a lot more input from the NJSIAA. I think what they would do is take the teams and match them like group size and make it almost like a playoff deal. And they would allow the other teams that are not in those playoff kind of brackets to go and get 2 games themselves.
Right.
And so, like, you know, like I always say, like, people always are concerned about the good teams. Like, people think about the good teams, but I think about the teams that are like the lesser, not even lesser, but the smaller schools. And we got to make sure that, like, Wildwood is willing to travel. They don't mind, but they'd rather play a competitive game. But Wildwood can go up the road, up the parkway and go play Middle Township. But Middle Township will beat them 70-0. So what good is that? What good is it for them to go do that when they can get in a bus and go play Pittman and, you know, the game will be close. And
Right.
It's halftime and the guys are like, the kids are in the game at least. It's not halftime. They're like, man, you know, I want to go surfing or whatever else. But, you know, I want to make sure that we just got to try to do the best we can. And
Right.
everybody's not going to be satisfied, and it's all right with me. I don't mind. I just want everybody to remember that I do not get paid one dime, and I have a job on top of all of this. Like, so I still got to do all my things at Lindenwold, but, you know, the added burden of, and I've had the year of turmoil of being the president of this. We can't believe it.
Are you confident we're going to have – my last question will be the one I think a lot of people would. Are you confident that we will have a season come October?
Yes, I'm pretty confident because I think we have to try to get in. We have to. And I think it's important for the kids. It's important for I think a lot of the communities, it's important to be able to have some type of events and things to go to and things to do. And I know people are, it's political about the mask. And I've never watched the news. I'm never a news person, but I've watched more news in the last 3 weeks than I have in my entire life, I promise you. But I think you just look at the information. I really believe we're going to play, and I hope we do play. And I think it'd be a real, like, positive push for us because the last 6 months have been, like, kind of a downer. But I think we got to really try to do what we can to help some of these kids out, be able to go to school and go back to school. And, you know, like, we just don't know what's going on. I'm confident. I hope we can play. I'm planning to play. I'm planning to, you know, map out what games I want to go to and some schools I've never been to watch a football game and that kind of thing. So,
well, you talked about fans. You talked about the state with Rutgers and the Jets and Giants. Do you foresee a season where we don't have fans if we have this, or you think it'll be kind of a formula, or we just don't have an idea at this point?
We don't. I don't think we have a clue, to be honest, because I think everything I'm talking to you about, I promise you, today is Tuesday. I promise you by Thursday things will be different. I promise you. And every statement you make, every statement that we've made, it brings about 15 questions. And like, people have really good questions. So I've had ADs ask me good questions about will we have fans. I don't know if we would have fans. I mean, personally, I say no fans. I would say don't have the fans because having fans is only going to increase the exposure and the risk of coming up with the virus. So, and it's hard, but the camera, I forget the name of the company, but they're offering people the cameras to stream the games. So you can still watch the thing. But, you know, I'm a parent myself, and I just can only imagine if they told me I couldn't come and watch my kid play. I just don't, I mean, I don't know. I say no fans, but then on the other hand, I'm dad too. Like, I want to be there. Like, when my kid fall down, and I want to be there to watch it. You know, like I always say that. If they were having a trash can throwing contest and he was in it, I want to be there to watch it, to be honest. So
Mike,
All right.
one more before we wrap up here.
Last thing for me, I mean, March 12th, I think was the last high school sporting event in New Jersey. Some state basketball games. We had no spring season. I think what you said before, how key is it that we have some sort of fall season? I know there's models out there that want to play the 3 seasons in the after January 1st or something, but to go 9 months without a sporting event in the state of New Jersey, to lose back-to-back seasons, I really think that would be tough for a lot of kids, tough for a lot of schools. I mean, how important is it to get something this fall and not go 9 months with nothing, basically?
It's difficult, but I always the thing I've been starting to do now, and like I said, I've been watching the news, is I watch Governor Murphy every day, and I can feel his pain, his stress level, and he's making tough decisions that are affecting people's lives. And that's the same thing. Like, I just feel like that. Like, those kids that'll be 9 months of no competition and not playing against each other. And one thing I think positive will come out of it is I think the coaches, the fans, and the kids will be really appreciative of getting out there. Like, we've started, some schools have started back conditioning, and I think it's been a lot of fun getting all the kids back and seeing their friends and that kind of thing. And like I said it, I've been saying it for 6 months. A school is the most anti-social distancing thing in the world. Like, it's just by nature. And you think about it, if you're first grade or second grade, kids share pencils, they share crayons, they sit at a table, they eat lunch with their friends, like you right there. So now I think a lot of the rules and the things that we have in place are gonna just affect that. And it's gonna be a different world. Like, things are different. Like, this is our new normal right now. Like, this is what we are dealing with. And I think we just gotta do the best we can to try to get out there and play the games. We'll have a schedule, and that's gonna be it. And once we release the schedule, that's it. There's no appeals, no changes. We just gotta try to change it the best we can to accommodate the schools that want to travel and then the ones that don't want to travel. And it's difficult. So it's not easy by no means. And I will repeat it again. The president of the West Jersey Football League pays absolutely nothing. There's nothing. So to answer all the phone calls and all, like, I enjoy it because I enjoy football and I want to do what's best for football in New Jersey. So I actually talked to the other 4 conferences in the state to kind of get a feel for what they're doing and what's going on with those guys and how many schools they've had, like, kind of back out. Because I know up north, Plainfield High School is probably not going to play football this fall. So, I mean, I know we're going to have some schools that once we give the schedule out, they're going to drop out too. So we're going to have to make some changes and adjustments and probably look to some of those other leagues to be able to get some games. Because Southern is right up the road. Maybe we could get them to come to Egg Harbor or something like that. It's not that far, so.
Well, Derryk, I appreciate you joining us. Very insightful stuff, and we'll hook up again before hopefully the season starts in October, man.
So. Yo, let me know. We'll go catch a game.
Derryk, I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Have a good day.